Hey, hope you guys are having a great day. Well, as you're going to see here pretty quick, Antifa and BLM have been terrorizing Washington, D.C. this time. We've got some footage from that, and I'll show you that here in just a moment. But as you recall, the Department of Homeland Security decided that they needed to issue a domestic terror threat. And I had told you at the time, yeah, that's probably a good idea, but not for the reasons that they issued it. They claimed that the Trump supporters would just be rampaging the streets and causing all kinds of insurrection and this, that, and the other. But they had their one day in Washington, and it seems like that's about all you're going to get out of them. But Antifa never rests. They've been going at it since last summer with BLM, a couple $1 billion worth of property damage, a couple dozen people murdered, and yet the domestic terrorists are people that voted for Trump. Well, this surely does not seem to be bearing itself out, does it? Let's take a quick look at a little clip here from the Antifa BLM fun last night. So they say if we don't get it, burn it down. Well, I don't know exactly what it is they're trying to get, and I don't know if they're going to burn anything down either, but they certainly have shown that they're more than willing to burn some stuff down. Now in the next little clip, you see Antifa fighting with the police. Now the police are back to being evil again, but they had their one day in the sun on the 6th when they were national heroes to the left. But all of a sudden now, they're back to being nothing but horrible people that need to be spat on and kicked and fought at every point. So here's your little clip that you could take a look at BLM and Antifa fighting the police in Washington, D.C.
A 28-year-old girl in America. You're going to go to jail. Move that.
You're going to jail tonight.
Move that. Move that. Let's go to jail. Move that. Move that.
Ain't nobody going to jail tonight.
Move that. Move that.
Antifa and BLM decided too that they wanted to do a little street preaching, and so they decided to go talk about racism to all the good diners in Washington, D.C. The thing that strikes me really funny about this is there's no more woke city in the United States than Washington, D.C., with 95% voting for the Democrat every time. Not only that, but why are we in the streets of Washington, D.C. screaming, you have the House, you have the Senate, and you have the presidency. And all the people in Washington, D.C. voted for these people. I don't see what there's any protest in Washington, D.C. about at this point by the left-wing extremists. And yet, even so, they're going to interrupt people's dining. They're going to interrupt people's evening. And honestly, if I was there, it would be scary to me. I would find this to be intimidating and scary. And I would think those people that have to endure these things would also. But we never call it terrorists if it's left-wing extremists. Then it's always just peaceful protests. And so this whole thing is pretty sickening to me. I don't understand what the deal is. So who really is the domestic terrorists? Where are all these Trump supporters? Where are all the right-wing extremists? Every single day I could report in a different city about Antifa and BLM raising all kinds of ruckus, causing all kinds of problems, and generally being way more destructive than these people in Washington, D.C. I'm kind of surprised a whole bunch of stuff didn't get burnt down, if indeed it did not. But I know one thing. They don't need to be out there in the streets. They don't need to be carrying on like they are because there is no cause there. It doesn't make any sense. And it's always in these liberal cities where you have all the rioters and all the BLM and all of the Antifa. Why are they even bothering? They're preaching to the choir. These people do nothing but elect Democrats. They do nothing but put extreme leftists in their offices. And yet, more rioting, more burning, more looting. And it never seems to end. So while I really don't get that, why it is that they're doing all of their protesting and all of their rioting in the most liberal places in the United States, well, I guess you just have to be a dumb leftist to understand. So anyway, that's what I have to say about Antifa and BLM's terrorist activities of yesterday. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you in a while.